Hey you guys, it's Britt. Today we're here to talk about a controversy that Bunnie XO has gotten involved in. She decided that she wanted to podcast Wade Wilson and podcast with him, platform him, and claim that she wanted to grill the dude. But a lot of people had many thoughts, and I'm here to talk about it. So if you're interested, please keep watching. Alright, you guys, so I'm sure a lot of y'all know who Bunnie XO is. She has a pretty popular podcast called the Dumb Blonde Podcast, and her husband is Jelly Roll. A lot of people refer to her as Jelly Roll's wife. I think that she, has built her own brand. She's done her own thing. So I do refer to her as her name, which is Bunnie. But she is in a lot of controversy right now and has a lot of people talking because she decided to make a video saying that she contacted the prison where convicted murderer Wade Wilson is being kept at right now, and she wanted to land an interview with him. Now, this is problematic for a lot of reasons. She did come back and make a follow-up video when she started getting called out in the comments for wanting to platform such an atrocious, disgusting person, and she made a response. So I'm going to go ahead and include her original video and her follow-up. Then we'll get into her other follow-up after she deleted the first two videos. So let me allow those two to roll. I'm going to read some comments and then we'll get into some additional thoughts.
Should we tell him memes?
Let's tell him.
We just called one of the jails in Florida to talk to Wade Wilson to get him on the podcast because I am fascinated with his story, and now that he's saying he's innocent, and how the internet is just half of them is divided because everybody's like, oh dude, he's so fine, and the other half are like, I'd let him run me over, and then the other half are like, oh my god, what a weirdo. So how cool would it be if I got to go into the jail and sit down with him and do a podcast for our murder mystery podcast that we do once a month? What do you guys think? Because if anybody has any connections to Wade, let your girl know. So I would love to interview the Menendez brothers. I feel like their entire situation is so messed up, and those boys have really sat silent for all these years and never spoke. I don't know of very many interviews that they've done. I don't know of any interviews that they've done. If you guys know of some Menendez brother interviews, send them to me. But I'm just fascinated with true crime as it is. You guys should know that I have a true crime pod month every October, and we try to do one at least once a month, which we'll get back into doing that in season 8. But yeah, no, I hear everybody and I love everybody's opinions and I respect it. But I also think that we live in a world that is built off of TV stations that are dedicated to running murder mysteries 24 hours a day. People love true crime. People love murder mysteries. So wanting to interview somebody and step outside of my box to where I would actually have to be, I don't want to say aggressive, but more not so, just a different lane for me, I think would be really cool. And I think there's nothing wrong with wanting to challenge myself, but I do understand that it might be too soon, and I hear what everybody's saying and I respect it. And it's not because, women think he's attractive. It's because I really watched the case. I was obsessed with the Jodi Arias case. I would love to get Jodi Arias on and talk to her. There's just so many people that I would love to start doing that with. And it's an avenue that I definitely want to explore in the future. I would love to go in the prisons and sit down with these murderers and talk to them. I think that would be so fucking cool. But yeah, it's not to glorify them. It's just I'm fascinated with that type of mind frame, I guess you could say. And I think it's because it's so far from what I am that it's I just don't understand how people even have that in them to do the things that they've done. But I hear you guys, don't trip, everybody calm down. It was just a question, and I just wanted to see how everybody felt. And now that I see how you guys feel, it's not that big of a deal. Love you. So I'm reading the comments now, and I can totally see where you guys are coming from, and I think that you guys think that I would bring him on the podcast to show him grace, and that's not the viewpoint that I'm coming from at all. he's now trying to say that he's innocent. And that is what's fascinating to me, is like, bro, your dad, like, there's so much proof stacked against you. How would you prove your innocence? And like, you know, literally I would go in pretty much grilling the dude. But no, it would not be to paint him in any sort of good light, or to like, you know, side with him in any way. It would be to just really find out like what's going on in his brain and like what makes him tick. But I don't know. We shall see.
Now, one of the reasons that a lot of people had issue with this is because Bunnie XO is a survivor herself of DV. And what Wade Wilson did to his two victims was so far beyond comprehension or belief or anything. It's just unimaginable. And when somebody comes on and says, I would like to interview this person that has ruined so many family members and so many friends of his victims, I want to interview him because he's fascinating, and it's fascinating, and the story is intriguing, and you're using it as a way to get clicks and views, that is a problem. A lot of people have said, what is the difference between an influencer or content creator versus the media doing an interview with these people who ruin families? The difference is that Bunnie XO is not a journalist. And a lot of these influencers that happen to be interested in true crime are not journalists. They don't belong in a room with these people so that they can get clicks and views. When the media sends a journalist in to interview these are people who have to abide by journalistic integrity. They have background and education in said field. And it's a completely different way of creating content. If we are going to sit there and say that Bunnie XO should be able to do the same thing that like frickin' Barbara Walters did, that's just simply unfair. They are two completely different entities. Bunnie's reasoning for wanting to do this interview is to get into the mind of Wade Wilson, to ask him questions and try to figure out like, why is he saying that he's not guilty even though he was convicted? And his own father got up on the stand and referred to one of his victims as resembling spaghetti after Wade ran her over. It's just such a heartbreaking situation. Bunnie is not a psychologist. She's not a psychiatrist. She is not a mental health professional. She can't get into the mind of anything or anybody because you are not qualified. You don't have the education. So this is yet another situation of stay in your lane and stop trying to chase views by platforming somebody as atrocious as Wade Wilson, because this has put Bunnie in the light of being diabolical, in my opinion, allegedly. So before she deleted her original videos, somebody has said, glad you made this response video. My heart sank when I watched the original. Bunnie commented and said, sank why? You guys should know my intentions are never to glorify DV, especially being a survivor myself. Somebody responded and said, so why even bother giving this man the time of day? He's guilty and has been proven so. Let it be. Someone else said, there's a difference between DV. Please let this go, let the attention fade, and let him be forgotten. Someone else said, you posting a video laughing about him running people over doesn't come across as pro-DV. Quite the opposite, actually. Someone else said, it's all for views. She'll give any excuse possible. Something else that Bunnie missed on this is Wade Wilson, this isn't a DV situation. This is a sick, twisted murderer who killed two innocent women that he did not know just because he felt like doing it. This is not a DV situation. Someone else said giving him a platform is glorifying him, and I agree with that. Someone said, you're quite literally the only person I trust to interview him. Why not? And this person responded, why not a criminal psychologist or anyone with any sort of qualifications and training for this? So let's get over to her other video that she posted.
Babies, good morning. I'm on West Coast time, so I'm just waking up, but I'm waking up to a ton of people who were offended and upset, rightfully so, by my post yesterday. I think anybody who has followed me for a really long time knows that my intentions were not to glorify somebody. It was more of, I had heard an interview with him yesterday claiming his innocence, and I was like, what? Like, how could this man even think he was innocent? But what we're not going to do is put words in my mouth and change things around. I did not say the man was hot. I said women think he's hot and some think he's weird, talking about how the internet is so divided over this murder. And when I was smiling yesterday, I was laughing because before that, and we have it on video, speaking to the person at the jail was ridiculous. Like, I couldn't even believe this lady was working at the jail. I was not smiling about Wade or anything like that, but when I said I wanted to interview him, it was not to bring him on to glorify him or paint him in any good light.
Not jail, prison. He is in prison. He is not in jail for a crazy weekend that got a little out of control. This is somebody who is in prison for murdering 2 innocent women.
My intention was saying, like, how does this man think he's innocent when there is so much evidence stacked against him, like even down to his dad, everything. Being curious about why a killer is a fucking whack job does not make me a bad person, because there are so many people who are interested in true crime and murderers get interviews all the time. But what makes me an asshole is being insensitive to the victims' families. And this is me talking to one of the victims' children last night at 2 o'clock in the morning, actually almost 3 o'clock in the morning. And after I spoke to her, I felt so bad, not because of me wanting to interview her, but because I truly did not show empathy to the victims' families. And even though it wasn't intentional, it's still what happened, and for that I do apologize. And I also took down the videos because I told her that it's the right thing to do. Like, let me take down the video because, you know, I see your point of view, and honestly did not think that this would even get any traction or go anywhere. So I love you guys. I learned a lesson. People make mistakes all the time, and that was just one of them. So thank you guys for teaching that lesson to me, and I will tread ever so lightly when I do true crime. This has actually made me look at true crime stuff a lot differently, because I didn't realize how much they do glorify the murderers and not give the victims a platform as well. So this might have just changed the trajectory of, you know, what I'm wanting to do, and maybe there's...
I don't really understand her comment of, I didn't think this was going to go anywhere. You have a massive platform. You have a huge voice, especially on TikTok. So why would you think that it wouldn't go anywhere? You think you can just make something super distasteful and arrogant and make it, oh, we were laughing because of the conversation we had with the people that worked at the prison. Then maybe compose yourself before you jump on a video and decide to laugh and giggle and smile when you're talking about somebody who has ruined families. And as a side note, she did not post this on her main account. She posted it on her secondary account. I think that it should have been posted on both accounts. I realize the original videos were posted on her second account, but if you really do feel sorry and you know that all of TikTok is talking about this, then why don't you go ahead and post it on both of your accounts? A lot of people are saying, oh, we know who you are, we know your real intention. Do you? Do you really know who she is? Because it sounds like some of y'all are just parasocially connected to somebody you think you know, and you really have no clue who this person is. And that is another subset of why parasocial relationships literally make my stomach turn. It's nauseating. And of course, Mama Tot is over here in the comments saying, Bunnie, we love you, girl. We live and learn and grow. And this other creator, I've seen him on my For You page before, and he said, We know your heart. Thank you for making this video. Anyone still passing judgment after this is just miserable. You owned it and we appreciate you. And then somebody responded to him and said, well, you know, do you really know Bunnie? And he showed 2 pictures from the same day where they met in person, and I guess that qualifies him knowing her intentions and knowing her heart. I'm so sick of these people. Like, it's so stupid. And someone said, you weren't being curious, you were trying to platform him. Huge difference. Your true followers stand by you. I mean, y'all, like, this is why these creators feel like they can get away with any and everything. They know that there are people like this that they could do anything. All they have to do is come on and say, I'm sorry, and, you know, do the makeup and the no makeup and glasses, and, you know, use this like kind of sad voice, and people are going to eat it up. Someone else said, don't explain to the haters. We know where you were coming from. I want to talk about this for a second. Nobody is a hater. There are people who were negatively impacted by her videos and her comments and the way that she was delivering the initial videos, who have literally had people in their family or in their life, their friend group, who have been murdered. And they know the pain that these families go through. There is absolutely no reason, no excuse for her to have made that video contacting the prison wanting to platform Wade Wilson. I don't care if you're curious. I don't care if true crime is all that you consume. I don't care if you know, you think that it would be life-changing and transformative content. There is no excuse. I want to play this video because it discusses the difference between a podcaster and an actual person from the media, like a real journalist, doing these types of interviews. I thought that this, her name is Becca, and she had a really good stance.
We are now at the point in the timeline where people believe that a podcast from Jelly Roll's wife is the same thing as a journalistic news production, Dateline, 60 Minutes, a Barbara Walters situation. This is where we are. And remember when the last guy said they loved the poorly educated? This was, in fact, what they meant. However, I do want you all to take notice of every comment that is like this, or defending Bunnie and people that are fascinated by Yahtzees like Wade Wilson. I want you to just go ahead and take a look at the common denominator. Y'all should really go to therapy.
And also, going back to Mama Tot, because I saw a comment on this video about it, you know, Mama Tot and the hypocrisy of her son being the victim of murder, and then her co-signing somebody like Bunnie. These creators that get into it and they show camaraderie and all of this kind of stuff, like, you allow things to slide because you have talked about this creator or you've exchanged comments or whatever, and it really ends up just making you look like a hypocrite during times like this. And I think the Mama Tot does look like a hypocrite. One of Bunnie's fans went ahead and put out this video. Melissa posted this 20 hours ago. I'll insert it after I read this comment. Someone said, Bunnie isn't a journalist. She isn't even a true crime content creator. And I think it's really naive to pretend that her doing this would offer useful insight or any scientific merit. Someone else said, I'm sorry, Bunnie's interview will not help scientists. We don't need to dive deep into the mind of an unaliver. There is no making sense of unaliving people. Don't make excuses. This was a bad idea.
Let's do it. Let's have the chat. Bunnie, and Wade Wilson. In the video that has since now been deleted, we had Bunnie excited sitting in her podcast setup where she wants to interview Wade Wilson. I believe she even went as far as calling down to the prison to possibly set up this interview. Now everybody is attacking her, and all of a sudden Bunnie is this horrible person, and oh, we're coming out of the woodwork because we knew it. We knew she was bad. We knew she was just in this for money, and she probably gets off on this and she thinks he's hot. How about the fact that Bunnie has a podcast? She has that kind of brain that she wants to investigate. She wants to talk. She wants to dive down deep and figure these things out. If you had a podcast and you had the chance to interview the mind of a person like that and dive deep in and possibly help scientists and get some answers, would you not take that opportunity? Of course, you are not going to be sitting on the set of a podcast. You're going to be sitting in a prison. You're going to be under protection. This guy's not going to have access to her. He's going to be cuffed up, and he's not going to have access to her to do what he did to other people. Wow, chill off on her a moment. I do not support what this man did. I'm not supporting him, but I am supporting her. And honest to God, to me, I'm looking at that as a journalistic opportunity. You guys are pulling out claims. Oh, she follows Marilyn Manson. Marilyn Manson has been accused of this. Okay, you don't know her history on that. Maybe she just enjoys his music. I'll be honest, I didn't even know that stuff about him. I really didn't. Oh, she's probably gonna have a podcast with him now. Come on. Maybe she is. And again, what another fantastic opportunity to talk to somebody if in fact these claims are true. Anyways, back to Wade Wilson. Off her back. Let her do the interview. She shouldn't have shame in wanting to do something that she's very good at.
This is just another example of people ignoring something that is blatantly bad because they are parasocially connected to said creator. Bunnie's not the person to carry this interview, and in fact, I wouldn't even want to see an interview from a real journalist with this guy Wade Wilson. I think that he needs to be just thrown in prison and forgotten for the rest of time, because the women and men that are interested in him and wanting to like get to know him and hear his side of the story and thinking that, oh, maybe he's not guilty, those are the same people writing letters to Chris Watts in prison. And those are people that I would never want to associate with, would never want to have any exchanges with, because it is just demented, and as I said earlier, it's diabolical. This behavior is not okay, it's unacceptable, and I want to know how y'all feel about it. So for now, if you like the video, please leave a like and a comment, and if you'd like to see more from me in the future, please subscribe. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.